Welcome back to Words from Our Mouths. It's another week, James. It's been another week since we last spoke to each other, and I can't tell you how thrilled I am that in an hour's time I won't have to speak to you for another week. How have you been?
We're streaming tomorrow.
Oh, for God's sake, you just bring me down straight away.
It's 3 days in a row we're making content this week.
3 days in a row, I know. This is recipe for an aneurysm.
I am the cause of your aneurysm. I am okay with this.
I'm sure you're okay with it. But that's because you think everything is left to you in my will, which it isn't.
It should be.
Yeah, you would think that. Hey, today we're not on our own. We're talking as if there's nobody else here. We're joined by Waze. Say hi, Waze.
Hi, Waze.
Yes!
I knew you were going to do that. Got it every time.
Every
it's a tradition.
guest has done it now.
Especially with Waze, it has to be done. Yeah.
Yes, there's no ways you'd let that one slip by. And
There we go.
We are not starting puns already.
It's going to happen throughout. I'm sorry.
I will leave.
Waze is ripe for puns.
This is why you chose it, isn't it?
Part of the reason.
There are right ways and wrong ways to do puns.
Exactly. See, and you just can't help it.
Hey, James, have you done your research? Do you know what Waze stands for?
Why are you smiling?
No, you were so close.
Why are you
shaking?
Shaking, damn it! You told me last week.
Now, James doesn't know what that's from, you see.
Some form of Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, only because I told you his main content was Elder Scrolls.
I went on his YouTube channel.
Yes, you did.
I saw his Elder Scrolls and I went, I don't like Elder Scrolls. So I left.
That's fair enough.
I did subscribe. As people should subscribe to the podcast.
That's it.
Oh, I wouldn't recommend subscribing to the podcast.
But they should. We're at 41 now, Pete. At time of recording.
That's not fun. Why do people listen to this stuff? I'm sorry. So wait, so Waze is a proper YouTuber. This is the problem we've got. Not a content creator like me and you, James. We make absolute tosh. Waze thinks through his content and produces nice, well-made stuff.
Yeah, we don't.
God. It's what is a proper YouTuber. It's
It's someone who uploads to YouTube. Therefore, we're YouTubers, Pete.
I strongly disagree. No, Waze's stuff is very nicely put together. It's got a nice pace to it. It's got a nice tone to it. We just say expletives and hope that people like it.
Well, and people do. If people do, then it's working.
We did have a podcast titled Penis once.
Yeah.
Penis once.
Oh no, it was called Pen Island, I think.
Oh, Pen Island, yeah.
The P-E-I-N, the P-E-I-N-I-S.
Yeah, because I thought if I put penis as a title on YouTube, I was going to get told off by them.
Penis land.
Oh yes, because we're definitely on YouTube's radar, James.
I completed the content creator survey this year.
Did you complete the content creator survey, Waze?
I can't even. I don't know. To be honest, I rarely do those kind of things.
I was on YouTube and it said complete this survey, so I did it. And halfway through, and I went, "This is all for content creators." And I realised it was called that. And 99% of the questions did not apply to us. It was like, "How's monetization gone for you?" Not applicable. Not applicable. Not applicable. Not applicable. It took me like 20 minutes to hit not applicable and realise I shouldn't. They've just got useless information from me. They've got the fact that we're not big enough to be important enough.
I tell you what, speaking of not big enough, and this is only tangentially related to not big enough, my wife is unfulfilled. No, that's not what I was going to say.
I thought you said your wife is unfulfilled. That's what she gets to be in a relationship with you. And you're not married.
Right. I forgot my question now because I was too busy putting myself down. Yeah. So
it was tangential.
Oh dear me.
That's her genitals. What?
Oh, yeah. Your ears would prick up at genitals, wouldn't it, James?
Ways of the genitals.
Oh my God! 5 minutes in, and I already want to die.
You started the puns.
Yeah, I know. I am
creation.
the maker of my own demise. If that's even a phrase. I've made it a phrase now. You can buy that from my website.
Put it on a t-shirt.
No, okay. Okay, it's actually a question time now. I'm going to start throwing things at you boys, okay? So, there's a good argument to be made for an Elder Scrolls Let's Play channel to be one of the slowest ways possible to grow on YouTube, considering just how many people like to record themselves playing Skyrim and just throw it on YouTube. However, you've managed to make it to... Please stand by. I did get the number before. I honestly, I did check. I'm not being silly here. I'm sure you know the number, but I'm going to check it. 323 subscribers at moment of recording, and that seems to go up by like sometimes up as many as 10 a day.
I don't get that many. It's probably the gaps you're looking at. It averages about sort of 28, 30 a month over the last sort of 6 months or so,
which is about one a day. There's an average of 30 days in a month, so it's average 28, 30 in a month. It's about one a day.
It's been around that every day, yeah. So it's not huge, but it's a steady trickle.
A steady trickle's good though, because especially in my experience, James doesn't give two shits, but I like watching Elder Scrolls Let's Plays. It's one of the main things I consume on YouTube.
The only reason I don't give two shits is I don't enjoy the game.
Yeah, I know. I was only just
nothing against the content.
I'm saying it
for
comedic effect, James. I'm not judging you.
I don't want people to think I hate Waze and we're like 5 minutes into the podcast. It's not that. I just don't like Elder Scrolls.
I don't think anybody thinks you hate him. But the words are very difficult. If English was my first language, this podcast would be easy.
English is your first language.
Don't tell the people, James. I had an excuse.
Oh, you speak a different language.
The trend... no, I don't feel like it.
Liar.
The trend that I'm noticing from the channels I watch is not so much a decline. It's just a very, very, very slow grind. They probably gain subscribers as quick as you do, but they're already established channels. What's the secret sauce to getting noticed? Because James and I could use some publicity.
I hardly think 323 subscribers is a position of yes, I know things.
As discussed earlier, we have 41. But then you've not been doing YouTube that long, as far as I'm understanding, correct, right? Compared to some people.
August 2020 was when I put the first video up. I think.
That's fairly, considering you're at 300 now, that's pretty quick growth, because even like well-established YouTubers in the height of YouTube, should we say, we're saying it takes like 2-3 years to get to like the 500,000, and you're halfway there in a year and a bit.
I thought you said to 500,000.
That's what I
heard.
500 to 1,000.
Sorry, 500 to 1,000. And said that's the hardest bit. Once you start hitting the 500, maybe up to 1,000, is when you start getting noticed more, mainly because YouTube can start monetizing you at that point, and actually they'll then push you, as we all know, of all platforms, not just YouTube, but YouTube, Twitch, all of them, they like to push people that are going to make them money, which kind of makes sense. I understand why they do that.
Well, it's a business, so yeah.
At the end of the day, YouTube's there to make money. It doesn't make money. YouTube loses money every year, but that's beside the point.
YouTube loses money?
Yep. It's one of the biggest,
really? I had no idea.
One of the biggest losses for Google, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong on this, but from what I've seen before and read before, YouTube actually it might not lose money, it might just break even, but it doesn't make money.
Surely it's one of the biggest arms of Google right now.
Probably Android is still probably the biggest arm.
I said one of, to be fair, and also, but it's hardly unsuccessful. If you look at something like Google Stadia,
but then does it have to make money to be successful? Because
I don't have to make money to be successful. Because
you've got to remember though, there's obviously a lot of staff employed at YouTube, and Susan Wojcicki, whatever her name is,
I'm sorry, no, there are not a lot of staff employed at Google. There is 2 very bad algorithms employed at Google.
There's also a lot of staff employed at YouTube, but all of them, especially like the CEOs and stuff, they're making money. It's not like they're worrying that they're not going to pay their bills at night. They're making huge amounts of money from it, but the actual company as a whole doesn't make that much money. But then that could just be tax avoidance as well. But then you've got to remember the amount of crap there is on YouTube. Just the stupid videos of a 10-year-old uploads their first video and makes a new channel and does it again, and makes a new channel and does it again.
I feel called out.
God knows how many years of footage there is on YouTube. They have to store that somewhere. That's why it costs so much.
Yeah, the storage alone has got to be a high overhead.
And let's face it, if we click a YouTube video and it doesn't load within 2 seconds, we get impatient and stop trying to watch it, don't we?
I've never noticed that be a problem.
Exactly. It's not a problem. So which means there's so much power behind the website that any video you want at any time, you can click play and it will start playing.
I never even considered that, but I think that you might be exaggerating the amount of money they don't make, considering how well off these people are at the top. They have to make that money somewhere.
Yes, they make money, but the actual business at the end of the year on their bottom line hasn't made profit. But obviously that's after people's wages, don't forget.
That's something for me to ponder over. What have you been up to this week, Waze?
This week, mainly working, to be honest. I'm getting over the man flu, which I had for about the last 10 days, just feeling like crap. So
yes, man flu is a 10 days minimum thing. So.
Yes, exactly. So not a lot, because I could barely breathe through my nose, and I was coughing all the time, and my throat was ripped to shreds. So so I haven't really been doing anything. No recording, no. So I basically, what I've been doing is I finished Fallout. I've never finished Fallout before, so I actually finished Fallout, the first one.
The first one, yeah.
Yes.
That's a bit of a grind as well, actually.
It is, but it was an enjoyable grind, I have to say. It was, and it was perfect. So I hooked up to the TV, sat back on the couch, and just plodded through it, because it was about all I was capable of doing.
See, nowadays that's a bit of an achievement, because back when Fallout was released, it was that was pre-walkthrough era, wasn't it? There was no, if you got stuck, you were stuck.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know a friend who knew how to get past the bit you were on, that was it. You were buggered. But now, and so I suppose nowadays I was about to say it's considered more of an achievement to get through an older game, but there are always walkthroughs. Although I find something a bit odd about using a walkthrough for a game, and especially in its entirety. It's like, what are you doing it for? You've already, you know you're going to get through it because you're being given step-by-step instructions, so why are you even playing it?
Yeah, there's no fun in that. I use walkthroughs, but it will be a case of if I've tried something, I've tried everything, I've gone away, I've come back, I've tried all these different things, and I just can't progress, then I will sort of look it up, and I will read sort of almost sentence by sentence, and as soon as it seems like I've got my answer, I stop. I don't read any further. I don't look for anything else. If it seems like it's going off track into another area that I don't want to know about, I'll stop reading. So I literally just look for that one bit and then get back to just exploring it, because
I have it on good authority that someone like James is stuck for about 45 seconds before he heads straight to Google.
Oh, fuck you.
I'm only joking, James.
No, the thing that annoys me with walkthroughs...
It's actually 40. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. No, the last game I used to walk through for was Fallen Order, because I was stuck on a puzzle. And what really annoyed me was they opened it up, and the way the walkthrough had been laid out is it laid it out by chapter. And I scrolled down to it. The clues to each puzzle was in big bold letters. So scrolling down to it, I'm thinking, I've done that one, I've done that one, I've done that one. Turns out I hadn't done them ones, and I was just reading all the whole level, and I went, oh shit, it was at the top. So yeah, literally, I completely spoiled a level for myself trying to walk through it, which was a bit annoying.
That's one of the dangers, though, of using a walkthrough. The last thing I needed a walkthrough for was... Actually, no, the last thing I needed a walkthrough for was when you were helping me through Superliminal last night. But
yeah, that was true.
Before that, the last thing I needed a walkthrough for was something from Morrowind, I think. But I haven't played Morrowind in about a year and a half, so...
I haven't played Morrowind in about 29 years.
I've played Morrowind...
It's almost been out that long.
I've been playing Morrowind for about a year and a half.
I'm 29. I'm 29. I've never played Morrowind.
Hey, you never realise just how many hours you spend on a game until you've got videos tracking your progress as well, right?
It's a bit scary, really. And bearing in mind, it's like not the first time that I've played it either. It's just it starts to get silly. And I try not to think about those numbers.
You mean this series where you're doing all these sort of off the beaten track things isn't your first blind playthrough? What?
Yeah,
caught me completely by surprise.
But again, there are still things. That's what I love about the game. It's there's still things I come across. It's like I haven't seen this before. This is brilliant.
Now, is that to do with the obscene amount of mods you use, or is it to do with the amount of content in the game?
No, that's to do with some content in the game.
Oh, okay.
I'm already thinking about, like, when this Morrowind LP's over, I'm already thinking about the next one, because it's like there's a whole... I've never done anything to do with the whole House Redrun quests, so I haven't done any of those. It's just that I always did something else.
What would you estimated total hours in Morrowind be then?
Oh, I don't know. I honestly, I just don't have an idea. I bought it on the original Xbox when it came out, and I played it on that. I played it until the disc broke, and I bought another disc, and then so I could play it some more. And then there's about 200 hours on Steam on the vanilla one, and then I've since Open Morrowind, I God knows how many. So I don't know. It's
You're still finding
a lot. Yeah, still finding things. Yeah. Or it could be something that I haven't come across in years, and everything's fuzzy, and it's you might only remember when you get to a final bit, but all the things leading up to it you'd forgotten that you already knew. So there's so much in it. That's it.
Turns out you've been playing the same game over and over again. I just keep forgetting.
That happens too.
No, you see,
does that make video games with Alzheimer's really easy?
So, well, you don't need to buy many games. It's good.
Yeah, because if you've got like Alzheimer's and those stuff, you can play through a level and go, "Oh, that was good," and play it again, and enjoy it every time.
It depends on the mood. You might next. You might say, "I didn't enjoy that."
Yeah, but if you wouldn't remember, you just go back to it.
There seems to be some sort of effect though with Morrowind, because I mean I don't have a great deal of experience. I've got less than 100 hours clocked in it in total across 2 versions, and that's not even enough to scratch the surface. But people who I know who have been playing it since release or for a very long time all have this same viewpoint of it. They all continually come back to the game to find something they haven't seen before. And considering it came out in 2003 or something, 2002 maybe, it's astonishing just how much there is, because that same effect doesn't exist in the rest of Elder Scrolls, except for like obviously Daggerfall's procedurally generated, so technically no 2 playthroughs are the same, although they very much feel that way. Skyrim has surprisingly limited amount of content, so you can, well, I don't know, I speak for myself, but I also find that my opinion's reflected in a lot of people I know, in that you can get bored of Skyrim a lot quicker because it all seems to be so easy to remember and so close together. It's hard to get lost, whereas in Morrowind, even if you've got a lot of experience with it, you can still find yourself in an unfamiliar part. Which might have something to do with the low draw distance, to be honest. I mean, if you can't see more than 4 feet in front of your face, you're going to get lost, right?
Yeah, I think that did add to it. But I mean, a lot of people who play it now have, whether it's Open Morrowind or whether it's mods, it's that's taken away, but it's still there. I just think it's the sheer amount of content as well, and also I think another thing is just the lack of loading screens. The fact that you just keep going. There's none of these gaps. So where Skyrim's, it's a bunch of blocks of things that they've all put together, whereas I think that's why it's much easier to get lost. Once you go into a certain sort of map, so to speak, in Skyrim, you know where you are, whereas you don't even have that trigger in Morrowind.
Yeah, that's true. Although I don't think, Skyrim doesn't really have, it has loading screens in between the cities, but it is just as open world as Morrowind is. But I know what you mean by a bunch of blocks, because it's all separated by like a bridge or a mountain pass. And then suddenly you're in just a different, like you go from the Reach to the Pale, and it's like, oh, well, I know this bit from this bit. Yeah. It's very, it just becomes old really quickly, especially when you've put more than a few, I was going to say a few hundred, more than a few thousand hours into it. And there's a lot to be said for the fact that it's more recently released, so it's more fresh in your memory. But someone who's played Morrowind and then comes back to it after 2 years has the same effect of like, oh, I didn't see this the first time round, or I'm completely encapsulated again.
Yeah, I
think it's from
part of that as well in Morrowind is it's very difficult to get a character off the ground. So there are certain things there's loads you haven't seen, but then there are certain things you have done 100 times over.
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, that initial part of Seyda where you just have to hit whatever comes at you and hope you don't die.
Yeah. So I think that's a factor as well. I think so. There's a lot of things that you do, and if you like a certain type of character, then you tend to go one way. It's so as I said, I know there's things I haven't done, but it's the same in the other game. But I like all 3 of them for different reasons. The 3 newer ones as well. I haven't played Arena, and I've only dabbled in Daggerfall, if I'm honest. But they all have their pros and cons, and I think with Morrowind you've got to like it you've got to be able to go through that first initial grind and get used to how it works. To be honest, I had the same feeling with Fallout when I was playing it. It's just you've got to just go really slow, and you've got to do so it can almost be a bit boring at the start because you've just got to keep repeating things just to survive. So you have to hit and run away, and it can get a bit grindy. But once you get past that and start getting to a certain level, that's where the fun starts.
See, this is my problem with both Fallout and the Elder Scrolls games when I played them. I just get bored within about the first 10 minutes and I can't get hooked, which annoys me a bit because once you get hooked, and obviously you guys know, and lots of people know that people put ridiculous amounts of hours into it, but it just bores me.
There's a lot to be said for the roleplay aspect, though, and this is it's almost metagaming to do so. But I find that I'm much more interested in a game if I create a character and then play from that character's perspective. So if you treat it more like a Dungeons and Dragons experience and roleplay your character, those hit and run experiments, like Waze was saying, like that, and those repetitive tasks become necessary for the character. So like if you give it's something that's again much easier done once you have some experience with the game, so you sort of know what you're aiming for. And it's something I never really considered until I watched Elder Scrolls Let's Plays, especially the role-playing ones. So Way's style is pretty typical of the sort of thing I'd watch, like Variax or Sorcerer Dave, and they create a character, spend a long time talking about where the character comes from, where the character wants to go, and it can really alleviate some of the repetitiveness. Well, it doesn't alleviate it as such, but it sort of puts a new meaning behind it. So if you can act as your character wants to, then it sort of becomes a step in a grander journey rather than just being what's right in front of you is like, oh, for God's sake, I need to kill like another 1,000 of these before I can get some good armor or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're invested then in the character, you're invested in the story, and the game actually just becomes the mechanic to tell the story. And so it changes it in that way, yeah, definitely.
But then my other biggest issue is I don't really play single-player games, because I'm just thinking about it now. The games that I've played stupid amounts of hours in, notably World of Warcraft, I like the WoW story, obviously, but the reason I enjoy it is because I play with people.
There's a lot to be said for multiplayer experiences like that. See, there's different. I don't like to do this sort of thing, but there are quite clear categories of people who enjoy games, and the sort of thing that will hook you in. So for you, it's more of a social aspect.
Yes.
So
completely.
So the enjoyment of the story for World of Warcraft probably came after the enjoyment of the social activity.
No, because I started it so long ago. I started WoW 17 years ago when I was like 12. At the time, I wasn't doing the social aspect. That makes me feel
sick.
Yeah. At the time, I wasn't doing the social aspect. I was just enjoying the game. Mainly because my dad played it. It was like, oh, I'm playing Dad's game. And then from that, got hooked in the game, met people, became friends, and because of WoW, I met you, as we've discussed before.
Because of WoW? That's so weird, because I have 20 hours in WoW.
It wasn't through WoW I met you, it's because of WoW I met you.
Yeah, it's because of WoW, yeah.
World of Warcraft is the reason to blame for this podcast. So if you have any
what are your thoughts on MMOs, Ways?
I tried.
I tried too. I tried.
Yeah. And it's not for me. I love the Elder Scrolls, so I bought the Elder Scrolls Online, and I put about 80 hours into it. And certain aspects of it I enjoyed. Like I enjoyed the lore side of it, and seeing sort of the history back before the games are played now. Some of it looked good. I mean, it looked really good, actually. I have to say, it's like you want to go.
The art direction is phenomenal, actually.
Good screenshots. That's the Elder Scrolls. I'm having your problem, Pete. Elder Scrolls screenshots.
It is contagious. I'm sorry.
That's the place to go. But I just couldn't. I couldn't deal with the grind for the sake of grind, the constant selling you stuff. So it's in order to get this stuff, I'm carrying stuff around. I spend more time managing my inventory because otherwise I have to pay more money to upgrade it, and that starts to annoy me. And then there's just all these people running around everywhere with numbers jumping out all over the place and names over heads and stuff like this, and it just breaks my immersion completely. I can't. I'm so in a game as opposed to in the story, and I've given it a go. I've tried WoW.
It's unfortunate though. Because
Yeah,
I'm
it
sorry,
is.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's unfortunate.
It's that was so rude of me, but it was unfortunate that MMOs can only be made in a certain way to be successful, though. So it's a victim of its genre, isn't it?
Look, I get it, and I get why people like it, but it's just not for me. I'm just a grumpy git, and I like to play games on my own. Generally, I do play people with other. I like co-op, for example. There are co-op games I can enjoy with people, but I just can't handle the whole random people online thing too much. It's just, and again, it's like it's horses for courses.
There's almost two clear categories when it comes to gaming. In reality, there are your single players and your multiplayers. Obviously, there are people that branch between the two of them, but if you look at all games, they're the only two real core differences, aren't they? Is
single player,
multiplayer or single player. But especially if you go to RPGs, in reality, it's single player or MMOs, isn't it? And they're very different style games as well, aren't they, generally? Hugely
different. So one of the things that put me off ESO was the fact that you start with 20,000 health points. What the bollocks does that even mean? How am I supposed to gauge any sort of power level with that? And then I read into it.
The numbers are all massive.
Yeah, well, they're huge. It's like you got a staff that does 6,500 damage per second. It's like, whoa, I'm invincible. Oh wait, no, this is the lowest end of the damage scale. What the hell is that all about? I read into it, and it's because I can't remember what they call it, some sort of skill point allocation or something like that. Some of them are only worth like 0.1 or 0.5% increases, and they wanted that to have a visible impact on the numbers. So rather than just rescale all the skill points to be like a blank, like a 1 or 2 or whatever, and just scale everything back a bit, they just blew the numbers right up. That doesn't make any sense to me.
On that one, a really stupid one that WoW's had before. They've done it. I've had to do it multiple times now because the game's been out so long. When they started the game again 17 years ago, I think was it however long ago it was. I've lost track. They set all the values for your health value, and your 1 stamina equals, I think it was 140 health initially, and all that sort of thing. It got to during Cataclysm, which is one of the expansions, that everyone started noticing the bosses. They'd either been lots of bosses, or the health, they do a phase change and the health would refill and they get a new health bar or something like that. And everyone's like, why are we doing this? And then it turns out there was a hard limit set in the game to what the maximum number of health it was there could be. And they'd hit that limit because obviously everyone had got stronger and stronger throughout the expansions. So they went to the final boss in Cataclysm has his health bar refill 3 times. So you've got to kill him 4 times basically. And then after what they did after that, they did what they call a squish. So everything, say if it's 1,000, it becomes 10, and if it's 1,000, it becomes 100. I don't know how much they squished by, but they basically divided everything. But they took a 0 off everything just to drop it all down again back to sensible numbers. But they've had to do that like 3 times now because of this hard limit coded into the game.
It's power creep, though, isn't it? As well.
Yeah.
So with each expansion, it needs to top the last one. So they add 10 levels every expansion or something like that?
5 or 2. Well, we've had a level squish now. At one point, the max level was 120. It's now down to 70, I think.
Okay, so but that's where the power creep comes from, isn't it? And it's a problem with long-running series is that the next thing has to be more powerful. And you find this not just in games as well; it's in TV shows too, where specifically things like Marvel and superhero stuff, where your next villain has to be more powerful than your last villain, and then you end up with this weird sort of dynamic where realistically the next villain should be able to just eat the universe, but they can't. And they have to sort of explain ways around that.
Well, you say Marvel, but Marvel do one thing that a lot of universes do struggle with, that Marvel do something that most of the other ones don't, is they do kill off their characters. That's how they get around it.
I wouldn't know this because I don't watch them.
But for anyone who is a Marvel fan, it's not a spoiler at this point. It's been out for a while now. Basically, at the end of Endgame, all the heroes that we'd been used to for the last 10 years beforehand, they're all done pretty much. Half of them are dead, they've aged, they've disappeared and all sorts and all that lot, or they're stuck as the Hulk as the Hulk is. He's halfway smart Hulk now, isn't he? But yeah, that's one thing Marvel do is they will kill off. Iron Man's dead. So Captain America's gone, all that lot. The main characters have gone. So we're on to the new ones now, so they don't have to go for an even bigger baddie because, well, the guys that defeated the last one.
But this is just a squish, James. This is the squish like World of Warcraft is.
Yeah, it is.
That's what they've done. They've removed a 0 off the end of every superhero's name, and now we're all super hers.
Well, it's not. It's an Iron Man's Man because they're out the middle.
Is it sponsored by Iron Brew now?
You wish you were sponsored by.
That's what came into my head too, Pete. Yeah.
I wouldn't even be mad seeing someone fly around in those colours, you know.
Well, this is a stupid conversation we had in the week, that if we ever got a G-Subs flavour, it'd have to be Iron Brew flavoured because of Pete.
I've forgotten what that is already.
It's a gaming supplement. It's a powdered drink stuff. So it's actually quite nice.
Gaming supplement. What a stupid thing.
Basically, it's an energy drink. That's what G-Sub stands for. It's gaming supplement.
It's caffeine.
Yeah.
Caffeine, gaming supplement. Caffeine doesn't make you better at gaming. What it does, it makes you sit and rock in your chair faster while you're playing games.
Makes your hands twitch.
Yeah.
No, if I don't have caffeine, that's what I do. I fall asleep.
Oh. Well, you've got a problem with coffee at the minute, so.
Tea again now. I've transferred back to tea.
Well, that's better, except it's the same.
It's less caffeine per cup, but it's still bad, yeah.
I think it's the same, James,
no, it's
actually.
Not. It's less
it
per
is.
cup.
Read the packet. Well, it's less per cup because you put 45 teaspoons of coffee beans.
That's beside the point. There's less per cup. Yes,
just because you can't find bigger tea bags.
Pound for pound, there is more caffeine in a pound of coffee than there is in a pound of tea, except you don't put as much tea into a cup of tea. I feel like I'm saying tea too many times.
Well, say it a few more times, it'll lose all meaning.
Tea. Did you notice the date today is 22222?
I did, yeah. I filled it in this morning at work and I thought, but this is crazy. This never happens, except it does happen. It happens quite a lot.
I noticed it when I was in the car and it was 22 past 2.
I still remember 111.
Yeah, that was 11 years ago. No. Yeah,
Just to clarify, like for like, a cup of coffee has around double the amount of caffeine compared to black tea, with an average of 95 milligrams per cup.
Fuck you. So I can have 2 cups of tea per coffee.
Yeah, yes, you can.
Problem is, I'm having 4 cups of tea per cup of coffee. So
James, this is the same argument as like cutting the cake in half, so you can have twice as much. Just because there's less in it doesn't mean you can have another cup.
No. The best way for calories on cake is if you have somebody else's cake, because it's their calories, not your calories, so it's okay.
That doesn't. I can't even begin to explain how wrong you are. So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just segue into a completely new segment for our podcast, James, where I'm going to read out the comments from the YouTube release of our last podcast because people are getting in touch.
You specified new segment like we had segments to begin with.
New segment. Okay, I'm going to move into the first segment we've ever scheduled into a podcast.
There we go.
Okay, no, just for clarity, this has never happened before. We've never had interaction from people before. So we've got someone called Blackwater TV, who I know from another Discord, who is asking for a refund of the minute that you listened to the podcast for, which is just, it's glorious because I can't give you a refund. It's your own stupid fault for clicking on it. And I would just like to point out that I did warn you beforehand, Blackwater, not to listen, and you ignored me, and you listened anyway.
You could do a minute's silence.
We could do a
minute silence.
And allow him to listen to that.
But then the problem is to get to this point of the podcast, to have heard you say that, to then hear the minute silence, you'd have had to listen to like 30 minutes of podcast already.
Oh, you'd have to do it at the start of an episode and tell him when it's coming.
Or does that just mean that we just go silent for the rest of the podcast and go home? I say that I'm already in home.
That was easy. Let's continue then.
We don't meet up to film this, record this.
No. We've never met, have we, James? There you go. There's something that you have in common with all of our guests is none of us have ever met.
I've met one of our guests before.
Okay, I've never met anybody then in my life. I've never met anybody in my life. I'm a complete recluse and shut. What do humans look like? Do they all look like me? Because I hope not. I'm ugly as sin. All right, so we've also got a comment from Kirkwall Mage, which is just a series of ghost emojis, which is greatly appreciated. So, ooh, to you too, Kirkwall Mage. Left Hand Yari says hi. Hi, Left Hand Yari. Kyle says hi. Hi, Kyle. And we also have my own mother commented. This is on an older podcast. This was the one that you called "Let Us Be Your Guilty Pleasure," James, which was the stupidest title you could have chosen from everything we spoke about in that one.
I can't remember what we spoke about in that one.
I don't remember, but there was like several titles that we could have done. And she brought up the point where, do you remember when I was telling you about me playing Half-Life 2 and asking my sister to look around the corners while I press the keys? Yeah. Do you know what she's talking about in the comment there? Where she says, it's hilarious that you asked Jill to help you with your game after the photograph incident. Did I tell you about the photograph incident?
No.
No, it's a good one. I'm glad you brought it up.
I know
so
about the hairy toe.
The hairy toe is completely unrelated and shall not be brought up ever again, or I'll kill you.
Hairy toe.
That sounds like a good name for a podcast, the Hairy Toe.
In fact, I think that's what it should have been, the hairy toe, isn't it? That's what that podcast should have been called.
Well, it's Words from My Mouths. We're sticking with it now. I've made the t-shirts.
Oh, no, there should have been the name for the episode. You've made the t-shirts. What the hell's wrong with you?
I haven't actually made t-shirts. I thought you were going to read the whole podcast, not the episodes.
Oh. Right, okay. So the photograph incident is one from way back in my years of being a 14-year-old playing Counter-Strike all the time.
About 40 years
ago. And, hey, come on now.
It's 35.
Like 16 years ago. I'm not even the oldest person in this podcast, I'll have you know. Back when I was playing Counter-Strike all the time, I had a particularly bad day playing, and I was quite competitive back then, and an angsty teenager as well. And off to the left of the computer was just this little shelf above a radiator, and it had pictures of me, my brother, and my sister on there. And the closest one to us was a picture of my sister, and I was having a bad day of Counter-Strike, bear in mind, it's very important to me. And she had the smuggest smile on her face, and she was making eye contact with me the whole time. So I turned the picture around, because I claimed that the reason I was having a bad game of Counter-Strike is because she was distracting me. And my mum found that very, very funny. So, thanks, Mum. You made my day worse.
Did it work? That's what we want to
know. No, it did not. It turns out I was just bad at games, which hasn't changed.
Can confirm. Well, see, Pete's mum, if you listen to this one, I would like a copy of this picture of Jill that I could just send Pete randomly just to annoy him when he's having a bad day.
If you're asking for a copy of a girl who was 12 years old at the time,
Shut up.
Isn't good, James.
I don't mean it
you're asking a woman for a picture of her daughter from when she was 12.
To annoy her
you
son.
Can't have that.
To annoy her son.
Whichever way you pitch it, James, it's not looking good.
I can ask Jill. She's more likely to send the picture. Is that better?
You can ask Jill if you want. Although, if you're saying to Jill, hey, can I have a picture of you, but one from when you were 12, please, it's still not going to go down well.
If I say one from when you're 12 so I can bully your brother, she's going to be like, okay. And you know she is.
But probably. She will do anything to see me bullied, yes. So that concludes the first ever segment of reading out the comments from our listeners or viewers on YouTube. Thank you so much for those. Please do get in touch. There are plenty of ways of getting in touch with us. Well, there's 3. There's YouTube, there's an email, and there's Discord. But, all those... Oh?
We have a Twitter.
Oh, sorry, 4 ways. I do apologise.
We're
more accessible than I thought.
We also accept carrier pigeons.
And
we do accept carrier pigeons.
Can people contact you on Twitch as well?
Oh, yeah, you can get people on Twitch.
Okay. You can get a hold of me on Twitch, yeah. All right. So, you're just muddying the water here.
Turns out it's really easy to contact us.
Yeah, I didn't realise that I had such a strong online presence. For someone who's a bit of a shut-in, it's very easy to get hold of me.
We technically have an Instagram as well, and we have a Facebook, but we don't use either of them, so don't look.
Hovering on your screen right now, YouTube viewers, is my phone number. So, just use that, send me a text.
I'm going to do it.
And you probably are as well. I shouldn't have said that.
39 minutes. Just note the time mark so I can find it.
This is going to happen. I'm going to get texts from people watching on YouTube.
Are you prepared to change your number, Pete, for entertainment values?
In the next episode, we will be talking about the calls that Pete received.
I will save recordings of them all and play them back to you. I can't say. If I say that, it's going to be filled with race hate as well. I can't do this.
The podcast afterwards, we'll be discussing why Pete has a new phone number.
Why Pete's been arrested.
No, there's lots of reasons for that.
Do you know what? There are very few reasons for me to. I'm a good boy. I'm a very good boy, and
no, you're not. You haven't stolen my chicken nuggets yet.
That wouldn't make me any better. Hey, did you know the chicken Big Mac started today, James? You should go and try that.
Yeah, but I don't like Big Mac sauce.
No, me neither.
So
don't tell anyone. It's supposed to be on my blood type by now. So
I'm not going to like a chicken Big Mac, am I?
You might. There's a chance.
Is it got Big Mac sauce in it?
Yes.
Then I'm probably not going to like it, am I?
You can ask for it without. Stop being awkward.
Well, I could ask for it out, or I could just get a fucking couple of mayo chickens and stick them together.
Yeah, if you ask for it without, is it really a Big Mac?
No, this is my argument as well, actually. When people say, can I have a Big Mac with no Big Mac sauces? We'll just get a cheeseburger then, you weirdo.
Get 2 cheeseburgers, slap them together. It's cheaper.
It is actually cheaper to do that, yeah, but I shouldn't really be talking about
And
ways
you get
for
an
people
extra
to
bit of
cheat
bread.
out of money.
Which you can throw at someone.
Yes, you do actually get, which you can throw at okay.
You can throw at one of the McDonald's workers who judging you for wanting a Big Mac without sauce, Mr. Pete.
Hey, apparently there's a thing that you buy a double cheeseburger and a mayo chicken, and you split the double cheeseburger at the pieces of meat and put the mayo chicken in the middle and squish it together and eat it. And apparently that's a thing. It's called a McGangbang. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. It's more American than it is anywhere else, but that's a genuine thing that people do.
I have a question for you two, actually, on discussing McDonald's as we apparently are now. What do you think of people that dip
I don't think much of that because I don't think it's words.
Dip
Chips in ice cream, is it?
Quite ice cream or milkshake?
No.
It's wrong, isn't it?
I try not to think about those people because it does things to me.
Pete is one of those people, isn't he?
No, I'm definitely not one of those people. And if you are one of those people and you're listening, stop listening right now. You are not welcome here.
It's just weird. What? Why? Stop dipping chips in ketchup. That's fine. And other sauces is fine. Milkshake? No.
You're okay. There's a girl I used to work with who used to put ketchup in an ice cream.
No.
And I'm not even kidding.
Oh
That's
my
not
God.
even. I'm not even saying
don't.
that for comedic effect. I
Oh.
watched her
Ugh.
eat ketchup and ice cream.
No.
My stomach just turned. Yeah.
I mean, I like ketchup, but with appropriate things.
Fortunately, we're all safe. I think she moved to Canada or something, so
Canada's
she's a good
problem
distance
now.
away. Yeah, exactly. Screw you, Canada. You can deal with that.
Isn't it Australia we send the criminals to?
It doesn't matter anymore. We've got airplanes. We don't have to just pick somewhere far away in a boat. In fact, if Bezos gets his way, we can start sending criminals to space instead. So
In a penis-shaped rocket.
yes, exactly. Hey, did you see about the thing? He's getting a bridge dismantled for his luxury yacht to pass through an area near Rotterdam. Have you not seen that?
No, but
Apparently, it's a
no,
protected
surprised.
landmark. That went very quiet. I didn't mean to make you all nervous. He's not listening.
He might be.
If he is, like everybody else who listens, I question your mental state.
I'm pretty sure the host we use uses AWS to hold their stuff, so we might be slightly involved with Amazon. Actually, me and you definitely are slightly involved with Amazon, Pete. We signed a contract with Amazon.
Yes, we did. I now question whether that was wise to do so, although it doesn't really affect me that much.
No. Do you stream Waze?
I don't stream because I have really bad internet. So I do let's
Doesn't
plays.
stop Pete.
Yeah,
He's got a point. He's got a point.
No, seriously, it's like my upload speed doesn't even reach 4 megs, so it's like that's not good.
So if people are looking for Waze's content,
How do you
don't
upload
look at
videos
Twitch.
so quick?
It's I don't.
It's every 2 days.
I overload. I upload them overnight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they upload through the night, and I compress them down, so they're only about the sort of videos that I do tend to be between about 3.5 and sort of 7 gigs, and the 7's are big ones. So generally between 3.5 and I'd say 5 or 6.
Okay, so the stuff I upload is between 50 and 60.
How big's our
gigs.
podcast?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
Podcast won't be very big. It's just audio, really.
There's video the whole way through it as well.
It's not a complex video, though, is it? It's a
still
line
video.
that wiggles or something. I don't watch it. I don't know what it is.
Okay, it's 216 meg, the last one. But I was saying about this, I uploaded the last one to YouTube in about 5 minutes. It's an hour-long video, but yeah, it's very
Yeah,
low.
it's not big. It's just a couple of pixels. It's not when you especially recording a game. The more that's going on your screen, the bigger your video is. It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
I suppose.
Definitely, it makes a huge difference. Like if I record an Oblivion video inside, as in the game, not I'm always inside when I record it, but inside in the game, and if the difference in size to if I record it outside is huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah, it is. It makes a really, really surprising amount of impact, actually. And I got an example of because I locally record my streams now, so I can edit them. and I've been doing a lot of Oblivion on stream, and I've got one stream snip that's about an hour and a half long, and I've got one that's nearly 3 hours. The 3 hour one was almost entirely in a dungeon, and is therefore the same size as the hour and a half one outside.
There you go. It's,
I that, to be honest.
It's mad, isn't it?
If I didn't compress mine, I wouldn't be able to do it, because sometimes they're like 60 gigs, and it'd probably take me a few days to upload that.
I still reckon I can get it done in like 3 hours.
I locally recorded my stream last night, and that's 2 hours. And the game is it's fairly simple looking, isn't it? So there's not a whole lot.
I don't know why he's not specified it. It's superliminal for people that are wondering what he's being so.
Sorry, yeah, the game was superliminal. It's a forced perspective puzzle game, and it's a mind fuck. But
imagine Stanley Parable crossed with Portal.
I've only played Portal. I've not played Stanley Parable yet.
Which you're going to do on stream soon.
I am going to do on stream soon, yes. But the whole recording of it's 2 hours and 8 minutes I was recording for. So that's how long it took me to complete the game. There you go. We've answered our question from last night. And that whole recording is 21 gig. Whereas I've got an hour 58 of what the hell is that? Oh, it's more Oblivion. An hour 58 of Oblivion, which is 42 gig. So
have you guys, do you remember recording videos back in the day, because I don't know, when you used like Fraps and stuff, and you'd record like a 2-minute Fraps video and it'd be like 120 gig?
I didn't do that back then. I didn't record anything.
Fraps used to be absolutely, I think it was something stupid, like on a HD screen, it was literally like a gig a minute it used to record at. It was ridiculous.
Because it recorded in lossless quality though.
Even then, compared to other ones of the time, it was huge. Because I think Shadowplay and stuff, or the precursor to Shadowplay was out. But the only reason everyone used Fraps is because it was easy to get for free.
Yeah, but the difference between recording then and recording now is it was frame for frame lossless quality back then, whereas now you have presets. And things like OBS do a great job of smoothing your recording as well. So rather than bottlenecking your system by trying to get the perfect recording, it will sacrifice a little bit of visual quality to maintain a smooth recording and a smooth performance as well, which is much better, arguably, because you don't notice it as such. I mean, if you're paying a ridiculous amount of attention and you've got your face pressed up against the screen when you're watching it, you'll notice. But
are you telling me you don't watch like that?
I'm telling you I don't watch like that yet. I don't need glasses yet, and that I can watch from a distance away. I'm also I'm always sleep deprived. I'm getting old, so my attention span is lacking as well. So even if it did, I'm probably thinking about something completely different to what's being shown to me at the time.
Isn't that just normal for you?
It is now. Never used to be. I've started doing this thing that annoys me though. I put something on the telly, and then before I've even started watching the thing that's on the telly, I start looking at my phone, and then I'm thinking, like, why am I doing this? It's one or the other. I don't need to do both of these things. I can't possibly pay attention to the two of them.
Just randomly, that made me think of another thing that annoys me. If people just sit and watch the adverts. I noticed this. I was with my mum's the other day. She was really into watching this show, and then the adverts came on. She's like, "Oh, I don't want to watch these." So she like flicked around all the different channels trying to find something to watch. All of them are playing adverts because they all play adverts at the same time. Got back to the show that she was initially watching and missed 5 minutes of it because she spent the whole time looking to not watch adverts.
That's a bit of a waste of time.
It's just stupid.
Especially since, like you said, they all play adverts at the same time anyway, so what's the point?
I think in the end she ended up watching the news because it wasn't adverts, but then missed part of the show, and it was a key part of the show as well. It was like something big happened. I can't remember what she was watching.
I see, nowadays if you can rewind stuff, so...
Technology.
I don't watch normal TV, so I it's a long time since I've had to worry about the whole adverts thing. It's like I just stream everything. So
I think the only thing
do too.
I watch on normal TV is sport.
Even though I do pay per view if I'm watching sport, so I'll just pay for the game I'm watching, and that's it. I don't watch anything else on it.
I see. I like one of them is Formula 1, which you can only watch on Sky in the UK. But the adverts on that, thinking about it. But yeah, like football, like when the Euros are on, they're not on Formula One because it's Sky Sports. There is like when the actual race is on, there's not like before the race and after the race there will be adverts, but the actual during the race they don't put any adverts on, so you can watch the race.
So I don't even pay a TV license because I don't watch anything live except Twitch, which I don't need a license for.
Not yet.
Not yet. No, they are. They're doing their best, aren't they? They're really trying.
They're on about scrapping the TV license, aren't they?
Oh, they've been on about scrapping it since the 70s, James. It's not going to happen.
Well, they're fixing the price until 2024. It's not going to price change. And then talks
brownie points for them then.
Talks are at the end of that they're going to get rid of it.
Well, what's going to happen then? Is the BBC going to have to advertise?
I don't know what's going to happen then.
Or are they just going to put income tax up so you're basically paying for it?
Yeah,
anyway?
pretty much. Yeah, the amount of people that aren't paying it anymore, it's not enough, so they're just going to charge us it another way. That actually sounds about right.
Yeah, well, they'll just put tax up some other way.
They'll go to adverts. If they get rid of the license, they'll go to adverts.
I don't see why they shouldn't. Everywhere else does it. It's just one of the reasons I don't pay a TV license and don't watch live TV is because of the mounting cost of it. So first of all, I'll have to pay a TV license just to legally consume the media that's thrown at me. And
technically,
9 times out of 10. What do you mean technically no?
If you phone, for argument's sake, we'll just go for this. If you're on Sky or Virgin, you can phone them and block all forms of BBC content, and then you don't need to pay a TV license.
That's not true. No, you still have to pay a TV license whether it's BBC or not.
It's only if you have access to BBC content.
No, it's not. They've made sure. No, they've made sure that in the fine print, because if you record something on a TV channel while it's live, that also requires a TV license. And it doesn't matter what channel you record it from as well.
They've changed it because it used to be you could get away with doing that, but they may have changed it.
Well, I don't know. I never tried to get away with anything. All I did was just stop watching telly. But so the TV license is one cost, and then you have to then on top of that TV license pay for. Well, I mean, you can watch Freeview if you want, but typically people get a Sky or Virgin TV package as well. And I just think, why am I paying like 2 layers of pricing to then only enjoy the content of 2 or 3 channels? And it's not worth the. I mean, it probably works out over £1,000 a year to consume what would be to me like maybe 10 hours worth of content a year that I'll enjoy.
Just randomly, I just googled it. No, if you're not watching BBC, you do not need a TV license. That includes watching it, recording it, watching it live, watching it online, or using the iPlayer or radio. Does that mean if you listen in your car, you should have a TV license?
Maybe.
Sounds like it. They've changed it here in Ireland that if you have any electrical screen that's bigger than a certain size, then you have to get a TV license. So now, even if you had no TV, have you got a laptop yet? Well, then you have to pay a TV license because you can watch it on there.
Wow. So they're just covering all grounds there. It's possible to watch it on it, so pay up.
For anybody
you're allowed to watch it on a mobile phone without paying. I think that's about it.
For anybody not in the UK wondering what the hell we're going on about with the TV licence, that's how the BBC's funded, is they charge all of us 147 quid, is it?
I don't know, I don't pay it.
I think it's 147 quid at the minute, but something like that. They charge us a amount a year per household to be able to have access to BBC content. That's how we pay for BBC content, so the rest of you around the world can watch it. You're welcome.
2016, I moved into a flat on my own, and I declared myself not needing a TV license. And when you do that, there's about 4 or 5 separate warnings that say the same thing, that
it's got
an agent may or may not.
Bit in red, isn't it? A big bold bit in red.
Yeah, and an agent may or may not need to pay a visit to your property to ensure that you do not need a TV license. Is this okay? And I press yes every single time. And one time they actually sent someone, and I thought, this is odd. I thought that was just one of those threats, that they just say like, you could be fined for this, but then no one's ever going to action it. But no, somebody came knocking on the door. Hi, I'm from TV licensing. I've come to check that you're not actually receiving any live TV. Can I come and check your property? Now, I had the right to just say, no, go away.
That wasn't official, Pete. That was just Bob from accounts on a slow day, and he says, let's go around this guy's house and just see what happens.
He left with an awful lot of my underwear now that you say it. But I had every right to take, no, I don't want you to come into my house, because they don't have any rights to enter my property. But I thought, well, you know what? If you're going to be a dick about it, come in and have a look around, see if you can catch me out on something. And I had a TV there. My Xbox was hooked up to it. And he said, would you mind if I just switch this on and see what comes on. I was like, that's a really odd thing to ask, but okay. So I powered on the telly and it came up with HDMI 1, no signal. And he said, so you just use this for your games console? I said, yeah. He said, do you watch TV on your games console? I said, no. He said, do you watch anything on it? I said, well, the occasional DVD and YouTube.
And the game I'm playing.
And the game I'm playing, yeah. That usually helps to see, but it doesn't improve my
And on bad days, I just stare at the blank screen.
I stare at the sort of fuzzy reflection of myself and contemplate all my choices that led me to living in a 1-bedroom flat on my own. Now, if you don't mind, you can take the underwear off the maiden and leave.
Stop giving your underwear to public servants, Pete.
They asked for it, okay? I can't say no. He's wearing a lanyard.
I guarantee they did not ask. He's wearing a lanyard.
It's got a picture of his face on with his name underneath it. No, you know what? Actually, apparently the people who can consent can be really snotty about it. And he did ask some, he not ask some questions. He did make a few choice remarks, saying like, if you are found to be watching television, it's like, well, if I didn't let you in, then I wouldn't be found to be watching anything, would I? So but the reality is, he could have come round. I could have disconnected everything that second as he entered, and then he would never have known anyway. But it was
technically he'd never find you watching TV unless you had the TV right next to the front door.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Considering I was in a flat, there are 2 levels of doors to get through.
Okay, well, so depending how big a 1-bed flat is, sometimes you can be that close.
I was also on the first floor, so we would have had to have a very long neck.
Or a periscope.
Or a periscope. I don't think people carry periscopes around that much anymore.
I do.
You do. Of course you do.
You never know when you'll need one.
You never know when Pete's watching telly.
You never know when you find yourself on a submarine going, I need to look up. Randomly, it's £159 for a colour licence, but if you have a black and white TV, it's only £53.50.
Is it possible to actually buy a black and white TV anymore?
According to tvlicensing.co.uk, yes it is.
But you know what? There's probably people who have still kept the black and white TVs because they only switch it on for the news.
My other grandmother. That sounds really weird the way I word that, but not the one I live with. I have the
As opposed to the one that we've been, talking about for this past hour.
I have the one I live with and my other one. It's how I've always referred to them. And
okay.
She still has a black and white.
I'm sure she feels great about being grandmother number 2.
I don't know. I've never referred to her in person like that. I doubt she listens to the podcast.
I'd be impressed if she did.
I'd be in trouble if she did because I sworn.
I'd question her mental health as well as everybody else.
I do anyway, but she's not a 2-year-old man.
She's a 92-year-old man.
Yes.
Okay.
She has a black and white telly in the bedroom, and I was like, "Why have you still got that old black and white telly?" She said, well, in case the other one breaks, and I'm like, "What?" To be honest,
that's a valid reason.
Always good to have a backup.
I don't think it's got a digital aerial. I think it's only got the old analog aerial, which doesn't work anymore.
No, you're right. It doesn't.
So
we
probably don't have a valid backup.
No. Well, what sort of connection ports at the back of that? Do you reckon you could hook an old games console up to it?
Yes, you can. It's a CRT TV.
Yeah. Oh, belting.
But it's also only black and white. You should play some
retro games on it. Yeah, but it's fine. You should play like Streets of Rage or something on there. Old games look great on old TVs.
Randomly on that, we tried to play the original Rock Band back in like a year ago. We tried to do it during COVID and all that lot. But in the bit when we were allowed to meet up, we weren't having parties when you're not supposed to meet up, like some members of Parliament.
Oh dear, topical. We don't do that here, James. We do old news and irrelevant topics.
Well, it's close enough. That's all I'm doing. And but yeah, we tried to play Rock Band on the OLED Samsung TV what we've got in the front room, and it was completely out of sync. We could not work it. I was like,
oh god, yeah, I didn't even think about that. I was doing it
like, I was like, I know I'm bad at Rock Band. I was doing the drums. Like, I knew I was always bad at this, but I'm not that bad. We're dying instantly every single time. And I did a bit of googling, and yeah, you've got to. As it happens with the Samsung TVs, you can do it. You can put it into what they call like old gaming mode or something like that, and it's decided it just slows the refresh rate right down and all that lot, so you can actually play games. It was really weird setting you had to put on.
What make is my telly? Hang on, because mine's got it on it too. Mine's a Toshiba, and it's called retro mode.
I think it's just,
it's good for. It's not just good for stuff like that. Actually, it's good for
classic gaming
old TV shows as well.
Oh, when the aspect ratio is wrong. It's good for old TV
shows. When the aspect ratio is wrong, and also when they've used like So like old episodes of Doctor Who and stuff like that, where they've created animated sequences that run at on a higher refresh rate telly look really, really odd.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
it almost looks stop motion, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And so if you old Star Trek episodes and things like that look better on that mode as well, because anything that's been animated when the future wasn't considered possible, it brings it back into
I know
a watchable.
A really stupid thing, but if you go onto Netflix and watch whatever the original Star Trek's called, I think it's just Star Trek, isn't it? The original series, whatever. And if you look at from the original series, it's the unedited, unmastered version at all, and you can clearly see the wires holding the models up. You go to the later ones, you can't see that. It's because they've it's a remastered version, but only slightly remastered, where they've gone in and they've brushed up all those things for modern TVs and stuff. So like the Next Generation, whatever they call it, the second series and all that lot, is, all the wires and stuff are missing. And it's not like they've done a full remaster, they've just fixed little bits like that become so bad on modern tellies. Or modern screens, should we say.
Modern technology has done terrible, terrible things to old content.
Yeah, but old content is terrible, terrible things, so it's fine.
It's not. It's where things started, though. You can say it's terrible. It's only terrible by comparison. It's because things were harder
Rock Band
to do.
was quite terrible. Guitar Hero was good.
Right,
Rock Band was their weird sister.
I don't know. They were the same. It's just a rhythm game.
One's just guitar, one has drums and singing.
Actually, here's another completely random tangent on that. There was a guy I used to work with. This was years ago, like 12 years ago. He played Guitar Hero 3 for a few weeks, and then off the back of that went into a guitar shop and said, I needed some drumsticks at the time, so I was going there to the shop, generic music shop, Dawson's it's called. I couldn't think of the name. I was buying time until I remembered.
Are the music shops all available? Are we sponsored? Are we part of the BBC now?
This particular one's called Dawson. I don't give a shit. I don't want sponsors. This particular one's called Dawson's. I was going for some drumsticks, and the guy said, I'll come along with you. He went in and then started talking to one of the guys and saying, I want to buy a guitar because I'm getting pretty good at Guitar Hero. And I'm thinking, I don't know this guy. I'm going to leave now. If you think that playing guitar is anything like Guitar Hero at all, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
There is one vague step that's vaguely similar, which is playing a single string in time. It's almost like plucking the little bar.
I'll give you that, but it's just nothing compared to actually playing a guitar.
They're not. Musical instruments are hard, and I hate them.
You play any instruments, Waze? Come on, surprise us. You play classical trumpet.
No, I play guitar, bass, keyboards.
He actually plays instruments. That makes us look bad.
I was in bands for about 30 years. Yeah. So yeah.
Hell, what an impressive guy! Not only can he get subscribers, but he can actually make music as well.
I can badly play the violin.
Badly play? Well, badly is better than not at all. You've been telling me you can badly play the violin since I met you, James. What happened to learning to play it?
I've only been playing it for just before lockdown. So 3 years now. I haven't been playing that long now. About 2 years, I think. Yeah, about 2 years.
It's just before we're coming towards the end of the podcast here. I feel like I haven't given you a fair shake at talking, to be honest. Ways there was no point you coming on. I'm just kidding. We've been very pleased to have you here.
It's been interesting listening to you and James, I have to say.
By interesting, do you mean like please end it so I can go away and forget this ever happened?
I wouldn't say that out loud, Pete. You know that.
You wouldn't say it out loud. No, I can read your thoughts. By the way your icon glows green when you talk, I can just tell that's what you're thinking.
Oh, that sounds
But
cool.
just before we bring things to an end, before we bring things to an end, I'd like to just point out to the audience that the growth of your channel is very, very, very loosely related to my work as well, because without me, you would have took a lot longer to learn to do the things that you do. So you don't get to answer to that one. I'm just putting it out there.
I'll let you have it. Take it away.
You won't plug your own content at all. If I plug your content, you shout at me. But you help.
James, I don't make content.
You help someone learn to edit, and you plug yourself about 4 times since this conversation started, including bits that were unrecorded.
No.
Yes.
No, I disagree with everything you just said.
What, the truth?
Look, see, I don't plug my own content because content is the wrong word for what I make. What I make, somebody else phrased it really well in a Discord server. What I make, he wasn't talking about my content, I don't think. Maybe it was. Who cares? What I make is unstructured auditory garbage.
Well, that's the podcast. You also make videos.
Yeah, but it's the same for videos. You stick them on in the background if you are so inclined, and you've exhausted every other video on YouTube, and then that's it. I'm unstructured auditory garbage for you to get on with your day.
Well, see, me and you had this conversation the other day. We're at least better than The Only Way is Essex. Therefore, we must be content because lots of people watch that shit.
That makes me sad.
Because it's true. Right, so we're ending the podcast now because we're running out of time.
Yes, we gotta go. That's it.
I only have disk space remaining for 50 hours and 36 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, we're running out. I've got 446 hours, so we're okay. I will put a link to Waze's YouTube in the description box below. I don't know why I'm pointing again. I do this every time I mention the box. I point at it like I'm making a video, except this is just a podcast. But I'll put that there. Do you use social media, Twitter, anything like that?
I'm on Twitter, but I don't use it, to be honest. It's so it's at the moment it's YouTube is the only place that I am at the moment.
So yeah, I'll put the link in the bottom. I might make it appear on the screen, depending how much effort I've got. I'm drinking Saturday night and I've got to edit it on Sunday, so probably not. Yes, I think that's it. Like and subscribe and all that usual shit.
There we go. Plug the socials, James.
At our mouths for Twitter. Email us at wordsfromourmouths@gmail.com. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on other podcast places. I don't fucking know.
Is that it? Are we done?
I think so. This is a really bad ending.
It's always a bad ending. To be fair, it was a bad start and a bad middle as well.
It's just a bad podcast. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Consistency is important in this kind of thing.
It is. You're consistently shit.
Yeah.
That's a backhanded compliment if I ever heard from one. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Words From Our Mouths. I've been Pete, that's been James. We were joined by Waze, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you for coming on, Waze.
No problem. I've enjoyed every minute of it, honestly, guys. Thanks for the invite. Much appreciated.
A liar.
He's so gracious in doing so as well. I don't trust him.
There's no point me saying anything, is there? There just really isn't. That.
Hey, there was no point in any of us saying anything.
You guys can hear the torture in his voice, so it's understandable.
And if you want more of his silky smooth voice, go and check out his YouTube. That's the last thing I'm going to say. The podcast is over. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.